What's going on, everyone? So the Atlanta Hawks got the number one pick in this upcoming draft for the first time since 1975. That's crazy. But the Atlanta Hawks now have a ton to figure out. What are they going to do? Are they going to keep that pick? Are they going to look to trade that pick? Who do they draft with that pick? Obviously, they got Dejounte Murray and Trae Young, and all of the talk is that one of these guys, if not both, are gone, that they are fully expected to trade one of these guys at least. They are more than open to listening to Trae Young potential trades and packages and stuff. And as far as a return goes, Trae makes the most sense, right? If you were going to trade either of these guys and you are really looking to hit kind of the reset button, then to me, Trae does make the most sense. However, I do think that there is an argument that Trae Young makes the most sense to keep around because he's only 25. So let's say Atlanta drafts Alexander Sarr, right? Well, now you have basically your center cornerstone for the foreseeable future. And luckily, Trae is young enough where you can kind of spend the next year or two kind of retooling, repositioning, kind of going through what you want to go through. Where Dejounte Murray, he's going to be 28. I guess Trae will be 26, but still, that 2 years could be a huge difference. In 2 years, one guy's going to be on the right side of 30, and one guy's going to be hitting 30. Now, again, Dejounte Murray, I do think makes sense. Maybe Atlanta looks at it as like, okay, like let's keep a bit, let's kind of like retool around Dejounte. Let's get a better package in return for Trae Young. And then now we add in, again, say a Sarr and kind of add proper veteran pieces around him. And maybe we can bare minimum be where we have been the last few years, which is like, a fringe play-in playoff team. But in like 2 years, maybe we're moving into contention status, right? And kind of that could always be an approach. There's also the argument where you just tear this down to the studs and you basically just rebuild around Johnson. You keep some of the young guys, right? And you basically sell the farm, right? You look at a team like San Antonio. San Antonio wants a point guard. And there's a lot of talks about them maybe potentially looking to trade for a more veteran point guard, right? Now, Trae Young has been linked to the Spurs, but there have been reports from the Spurs side of things that have said like Trae isn't a San Antonio type player, that they're not really interested in him, but they are interested in Dejounte Murray, right? So maybe a team, you have a team like the Lakers that are interested in Trae, right? Maybe you trade him to the Lakers, you get the absolute farm for him, or you sell him to the best package available, whoever it is. But the problem with Trae is how many teams, one, need a point guard, and two, want Trae with his high usage on ball, right? Like his inability to play off ball at times, right? There's a lot of questions on like, what does the market look like for Trae Young, right? Like that's a real question. But to me, you sell him to the highest bidder. Let's say it's the Lakers, right? And I know many of you know I'm a Laker fan. I have talked repeatedly, I don't really want the Lakers to trade for Trae Young, but for being honest, if the Lakers can, they're going to. But to me, it's like, okay, fine. If you're from Atlanta's standpoint, trade Trae, get whatever you can. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, can you convince them to give you Max Christie? If not, Jalen Chafino, Maxwell Lewis, basically take all of their young guys, all of their draft picks, right? And then look to trade Dejounte Murray to the Spurs and go, hey, we want to start. We need our picks back. We need some of our picks back. You can keep your picks. We need our picks back because at that point you're rebuilding. At that point you're retooling. So if you can get, a good amount of your picks in return for Dejounte Murray and you just kind of switch them back, well, then there you go. Now you're in a position to where you can rebuild and you can retool. So you send Dejounte to the Spurs and you send Trae to the Lakers and then you go that route. And then as far as the rest of the team, I would sell off every piece, right? Obviously, you already traded John Collins, which is crazy that they still are like over the cap and whatnot. But you still have guys like Brogdon Bogdanovic that I think many teams would love to bring on and is on a reasonable salary. Clint Capella is an expiring contract. You may be able to flip him or maybe even trade him to a team that could use another center. Hunter is a guy. You have multiple pieces beyond just the Trae and Dejounte Murray, and which you could use to leverage into a trade to maybe get some more picks or, get some young talent and just kind of stack picks, young talent, and spend the next year, 2 years, 3 years kind of retooling this roster, right? I think that is probably the best approach for Atlanta, is just tear it down to the studs, right? Because either A, you keep Trae and you sell off everyone else, and you hopefully can convince Trae, like, hey, give us like 2 years, right? You really want to be here. You really want to build something special. You really want to try to win an NBA championship, right? Well, just give us 2 years, 3 years, whatever, right? And just hang out with us. You'll still be on the right side of 30. You'll be 27, 28 tops. And then at that point, now we can look at contention. Tell him to stay until his contract's up, right? So basically you'd have this year, 2025, 2026, and then tell him, don't terminate your contract, right? Stay that 2026, 2027 season, make $50 million that year, right? So give us till that year, and then you'll go into free agency. And if we're not in position to contend for a championship, then we'll trade you and we'll send you wherever you want to go, right? Because again, he'd still be going into that 26, 2027 year. He'd only be 28 years old. At that point, again, if you have SARS, let's say, and then Johnson, you start really putting together the pieces, you might be able to, in 2-3 years, actually have a roster that maybe can get you back to the conference finals. Or, if any of these guys turn out to be something, all of a sudden you can be in. Or maybe make the trade or make the move to go get that other star. Right? Maybe somebody does become available. Maybe you go get that other guy. Right? Like, there's options there. But I think it really boils down to, what do you want to do with Trae? What are your thoughts with Trae? Is he the guy that you're moving off of? Which, again, I kind of lean towards, like, if you're going to trade Trae Young, you might as well just rebuild the entire thing. Because again, Dejounte Murray, like, I do think that this team is built well for Dejounte. And I know Dejounte's been kind of hot and cold when Trae is out. But there's a big difference between, like, okay, now you're the guy, and then you are only the guy momentarily, right? Like when Trae was out, it's like, like Dejounte Murray was having great games and, was looking like the Dejounte Murray that they need. And I do think that this team is better built and better suited for Dejounte. But again, like, Dejounte always knew, okay, Trae's going to be back eventually. And when Trae comes back, now I'm option 2. Right? Now I don't get to be the playmaker. Now I don't get to be on ball. Now I don't get to play the position that I am best at. So, it's a big difference to where it's like, okay, now we don't have Trae. Now it's you and all these guys, and we're going to position and rebuild around you. Right? Now maybe Dejounte might be a little better. It can't be much worse than Atlanta has been. You can't. It's not like Atlanta's been this perennial, conference finals team or something like that. No, they basically been a middle of the pack type team. So, I think if you're going to trade Trae, though, I think you got to at least consider trading everybody, in my opinion. Right? I think that you got to at least, take some phone calls, see what you can get. Can you get some of your picks back from San Antonio? I just think I think you gotta explore all options, definitely. But I think you need to pick a clear direction. Like, you gotta pick, are you gonna hit you see a lot of teams that are always like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Don't be like, pick a lane. Are you rebuilding? Rebuild. Take the number 1 pick, try to get back some of your picks from San Antonio, and let's hit the reset button. If not, then you got to kind of build the best roster possible, right? If you can't get your picks from San Antonio, trade, get the most that you can, and then figure it out from there. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? How do you feel? Is there anything in particular that you want the Atlanta Hawks to do, any direction that you want them to move. Do you want them to trade Trae, Dejounte? Do you want them to trade the number 1 pick? Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.